Hello folks, and welcome to a talkie video. I'm sat here experimenting with my solar charger and this Hyundai Insta EV. It's not our standard fare on this channel. We usually muck about with older cars like this Australian Ford behind me. But I wanted to talk about why I love electric cars, because a lot of people are very confused as to why there is suddenly lots of electric car content on the channel. The truth is, there has always been electric car content on this channel, and it stands as a bit of a juxtaposition to the Bangonomics that generally features on this channel. But the reason there are electric cars on this channel, the reason this channel exists at all, is because I like them. And it all stems from the driving experience. I've always had a fascination with electric vehicles. It must have been riding up and down my street on the milk floats when I was a child. And I was just fascinated by the way they work, the sounds, the different smells, the lack of a running engine. Absolutely fascinated me. And back in 2013, I managed to blag a pressed Nissan Leaf for a week. And it was primarily for my blog at the time, which was Classic Hub. It was such an important moment, I felt, the start of me ever driving an electric car, that I put a camera in the car and did a presentation. I made a video about it, and in the first year I think 500 people watched that video. Yeah, it wasn't very good, but it set me down the path that I follow now, and we're now 11 years later, getting on for 12 years later, and we've come a very long way. And I've released over 2,000 videos on all aspects of motoring: classic buses, classic cars, modern cars, electric cars, everything motoring. It represents my own interests. But from that very first drive, I was hooked, and I was just like, I need an electric car in my life. And it's a bit sad that we're 12 years down the line, and now we're at the stage where I could probably afford an electric car. It would be a bit of a struggle, but I could probably pull the money together to buy a cheap Nissan Leaf. And believe me, I'm very tempted to do so. So what really is it that I love about that driving experience? I mean, I'm a petrol head, and I must admit, the driving down a twisty road in something that's got some loud induction and a raughty exhaust is still one of the most insane fun things to do. I'm thinking of the Matra Morena I drove, the Fiat 131 Mirafiore. That was huge fun, and that has not stopped. I have not suddenly decided I don't like those cars. That just ticks another level of excitement and engagement when you're driving. But I've driven this Hyundai Insta on some very fast roads, nice and twisty, and I like it for different reasons. It's that seamless, endless torque. Well, not quite endless. Technically, it's about 130 pound-foot of torque, I think. I will double check my figures. But that torque is produced from zero, well, slightly above zero, I suppose, technically, up to the maximum speed of the motor. It is just a constant, seamless power delivery. And that is very addictive. A petrol engine, you have to try and keep in a sweet spot. And sometimes that is a lot of fun. Just down the gears and get the revs back up, try and keep it in that sweet spot. But other times, you just want to be able to get down the road with a minimum amount of hassle. And driving an electric car is like driving the very best automatic transmission in the world. Because there is no kickdown, there is no lag, there is no waiting for the change and having to learn the gearbox to see what it'll do next. There's no being in the wrong gear, because there is one gear, just one reduction gear between the motor and the wheels, and it just gets very addictive. It's so pleasant, so sweet, and I think that's why I like it. I admire the technology as well, the technology that allows you to lift off, and that motor now becomes a generator and is putting power back into the batteries. Once you've experienced that a few times, brakes in a conventional car feel so wasteful, because all they're doing is generating waste heat and dust. So that is a problem. Incidentally, one of the hilarious reasons people say EVs are bad is because they weigh more, so there's more brake dust. And that's not really true, because if you're driving gently and sensibly, then the regen is doing most of the braking, so there is no physical braking actually happening until you're going, you actually want to come to a stop. In iPedal mode, this car will stop. It will apply the service brakes to bring the car to a halt. and leave the brake lights on, in case you were wondering. I use the auto hold on this. Rather than having it in an automatic creep mode, I have auto hold, so when it comes to a stop, it stops and it stays stopped until you press the pedal. There's so much I admire. It's just a shame that my enjoyment of electric cars is now starting to be tainted by the ridiculousness of legislation. Some of the stuff you have to have on a car, like the speed limit recognition and the lane departure. I can't believe either of those are making any difference really at all to safety. I think if anything they're worse, and most people turn the systems off because they're rubbish, they're not fit for purpose. That annoys me, and it does take your enjoyment off. Every time I start the car, and you might start a car several times a day, you get out, you do something, you get back in the car, you've got to reset all the systems again, which is about 5 seconds holding the mute button to shut the speed limiter up, and then 5 seconds holding another button to turn the lane detection off. Lane detection fine on a motorway, but this also has lane keep assist, which also defaults on. And if you've got lane keep assist, surely you don't need lane departure. I mean, one will keep you in your lane, the other one warns you when you're going out of your lane. If the car's good, it shouldn't need lane warning because you should be in your lane. And I actually used that feature a lot coming back recently from Scotland, and I did concede I actually got quite used to it. Apart from the fact you then get nagged for not keeping your hands on the wheel, because you've still got to keep your hands on the wheel even though the car's steering. Slight oddity, but there we are. We don't quite trust the technology enough yet, apparently. Self-driving cars are just around the corner. No. But yeah, fundamentally it is that driving experience, and I know some people have driven it and don't like it. It's the same as automatics. Some people drive automatics and go, oh no, that's not for me, I'm not in control. But I think one of these, especially if you go for a higher level of regen, so it behaves more like a manual car, downshifting for the bends, you get to like it a lot. And certainly for covering distance, it's just amazing. It's so peaceful, it's so pleasant. And sure, there's lots of petrol and diesel cars that are quiet and pleasant, but they've all generally got a manual gearbox you've got to do stuff with, or an automatic that you've got to sometimes second guess. And engine noise is very hard to get rid of entirely. And yeah, I think the reason I like this big Australian Ford so much is because it's quite peaceful, it's got lots of torque, it's fairly close to delivering the electric drive experience, quite surprisingly. And I think that's why I like it, because it's got a very simple automatic gearbox, and I don't often have to second guess it. Sometimes I'll go for a bit more engine braking by knocking it down a gear, but that's just like turning the regen up on the electric car. So I think that's what it is. But yeah, fundamentally, I just like driving them. I've always enjoyed driving them. I don't think there's an electric car I've driven that I didn't like. Even the converted ones by Electric Classic Cars. I've driven converted Fiat 500, the Type 2 pickup. Sadly, that got stolen and joyridden recently and rolled on its roof and almost destroyed. Happy to say Electric Classic Cars are rebuilding it. Brilliant. Tesla-powered Volkswagen T2 pickup. It's a fascinating thing. And it's all the same. It's just that instant torque. Obviously, I'm used to cars that have no torque at all, generally. So any torque is a luxury. But the fact it's just there, absolutely when you need it, is, yeah, very exciting. And I suspect that's why a lot of EV owners put up with what can be problematic charging. My dad's on his third electric car. He loves them, but he has had issues. Every time he's gone on a long journey, generally there's been a bit of an issue with charging. Perhaps not every time, but certainly enough times for it to be considered a bit of a pain. But he still loves it. He's prepared to make that sacrifice because the rest of the time, the experience is so much better. And I think more and more people are going to fall into that. So it's not that we're going to be forcing people into electric cars. It's that people will be deciding for themselves what they like. And we're in a great position at the moment because there were such incentives to get people into electric that a lot of new cars were bought over the past sort of 5, maybe 6 years. And those cars are all now starting to flood the used market. So finally, we're seeing used EVs dropping in value. I'm hoping to drive an e-Kona that someone bought recently. It was crash damage. They paid £7,000 for it, a little bit over. So it just shows what's possible. That is a very usable classic car. Would normally retail for about 11. But what's one of the things that's driving horrific depreciation on EVs is the fact the used market is a bit oversaturated at the moment, and that is good news for buyers. Whether longevity will be as good or as bad as people say, I don't know. Hyundai definitely have some problems with what's called the ICCU. I don't even know what that is, but I do know from reading the comments it's quite often an issue on Hyundais. But they will be in warranty. It's just got the pain. It's all well and good having a warranty, but if the car has to go and sit at a dealership for ages while parts are sourced, that's annoying. But you know, Hyundai far from the only manufacturer of EVs, and lots of people have had no issues at all. Just do your research. There's a lot to learn, I think, about EVs, and I hope to put a bit of an idiot's guide out to what you need to know about electric cars. But otherwise, thanks for watching this little talkie. It's just me sat here like Ronnie Corbett back in the day. All you young people are going, who's Ronnie Corbett? I'm feeling old. But yeah, that is why I love EVs. It primarily comes down to the fact that I genuinely like driving them very much. So nothing to do with the environment, nothing to do with saving the planet or anything, although I think electric cars do have their part. If you go walking around a city, which I did up in Edinburgh, it doesn't take long, and you're smelling fumes, and you know there's pollution all around. If we can get that pollution out of the cities to where the power stations are, all the better. And more investment in renewables, we harness the power renewables a bit better. Yeah, it could be a big part of making the world a better place, I think. But it isn't a magic bullet. It's not like buying an electric car, you've saved the planet. No, it's a much bigger question. But yeah, primarily the driving experience. That's why I love electric cars. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget you can head to the HubNut store, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell.